Welcome to Zilla Cabs. Recently we spent a few days with Nolly recording a load of speakers. We used a track written to illustrate different aspects of heavy playing and the importance of hearing them in a band mix. In this series you'll find out what we discovered.
The DV-77 was a speaker. It was probably the one I was most interested to hear, because this is a speaker I've heard clips of and had kind of testimonials, had fellow producers and guitarists saying, no, this really is like a super cool option on the market. I think it's the Mick Thomson developed speaker with Omega amp works.
Okay.
I think in the beginning I heard it and the first thing was like, this is really dark actually. And this is one of the ones where we went and moved the cab, relative to the mic, just to check if going much brighter on the mic position was going to yield like a different sound, that if I wasn't casting it in the wrong light with how we were capturing it. But actually it didn't really get much brighter at all. Like, it is a very dark sounding speaker, and it's not as forward sounding as the V30 for sure, but it's got a kind of a guttural quality to it. It's got quite like a deep voice that I think is cool. And I'd say this is one of those speakers where to me in my head, I'm like, this would make an interesting blend with vintage 30s, because it's similar enough, but it's also emphasizing a different area. Like, I feel like because of the darkness and that kind of big low end and low mid thing that it's got, it could make a nice pairing there. I actually do like it a lot. I don't know if I'd necessarily go for it exclusively in a cab. I don't know, what was your thoughts?
I can see how people would really like this. I can see how it'd be really useful for a lot of people. But for me, that's not what I would say would be my favourite sound.
Yeah, it sounds less like a vintage 30 than I anticipated. And actually, once I adjusted to that, I kind of was more into it. I think to me that speaker actually does almost sound a little bit like a blend of a vintage 30 with like a larger dust cap speaker. Like
something a bit nastier.
Like a little bit nastier and more low focused.
Yeah, it clearly does have the intent of going down obviously the metal route.
Yeah.
I do think they've benefited by not saying this is our V30, because we're not being critical in that way.
Yeah.
But most of my experience of this speaker is actually with cleans, an edge of breakup, and lower gain, and maybe through to classic rock, and I actually think it's really cool for that.
I'd say there's no reason why it wouldn't be, and maybe in a smaller enclosure too.
Yeah.
Like a 1x12 or in an open-backed cab where maybe that voicing is going to work really well.
Yeah, yeah.
That's interesting.